Jai Mahamaya ki Jai, Vishveshvari Mata ki Jai. In the last chapter, we heard about Lakshmi and Gauri leaving Shiva and Vishnu because of their unkindness. And now we'll move on to chapter 30. Vedavyasa said, O king, they went to the forest and fixed their seats on the slope of the Himalaya mountains and engaged themselves in repeating silently the seed of the mantra of Mahamaya and thus practiced severe austerities. O king, 100,000 years passed in the meditation of the Parashakti. The Devi pleased became visible to them. Her form was 3 eyes and the form of existence, intelligence, and bliss, Satchidananda. She was filled with mercy. In her one hand there was the noose, in another hand a goad, in another hand there was the sign bidding her devotees discard all fears, and in the other hand she was ready to offer boons. The good-natured Munis, seeing this form of the World Mother, began to praise her. O Devi, thou art existing separately in every gross body, we bow down to thee. Thou art existing wholly in all the gross bodies, we bow down to thee. O Parameshvari, thou art existing separately in every subtle body, we bow down to thee. Thou art existing universally in all subtle bodies. Thou art existing universally in all the subtle bodies, we bow down to thee. Thou art of the nature of the unchangeable Brahma, the receptacle of all the jivas, and thus residest in the bodies, so we bow down to thee. Thou art the nature of Atman, the goal of all beings. We bow again and again to thee. Thus the pure-natured Daksha and the other Munis praised her with voice choked with feelings of intense devotion, and then bowed down to her feet. Then the Devi pleased spoke to them in a cuckoo voice. O highly fortunate ones, I am ever ready to grant boons. So ask what you desire. Hearing this, they asked that Shiva and Vishnu both regain their former natural states and be reunited respectively with their Shaktis, Lakshmi and Gauri. Lakshmi again asked, O Devi, let your birth be in my family, O mother. I will no doubt consider myself as having then realized the fulfillment of my life. So, O Parameshvari, speak by thy own mouth how thy worship, japa, meditation will be conducted, as well the various fit places that it would be fit to perform this worship. The Devi said, the insult shown toward my Shaktis has led to this calamitous state of Shiva and Vishnu, so they should not repeat such a crime. Now, by my favor, they will regain their health, and of the 2 Shaktis, one will be born in your family, Daksha, and the other will take her birth in the Swarda Sagar, the ocean of milk. Vishnu and Shiva will again get back their Shaktis when I will send them the chief mantra. The chief mantra of mine is this said mantra of Maya. This is always secret, sweet to me, so worship this mantra and make japan of this. The form that you are seeing before you, this is my Bhuvaneshvari form, the goddess of the universe, or worship my Virat cosmic form of Satchidananda form. The whole world is my place of worship. So you can meditate on me and worship me always and in all places. When the Bhuvaneshvari Devi living in the Mani Dvipa, thus giving her reply, went away, Daksha and the other Munis all went to Brahma and informed him with great earnestness of everything that had happened. O king, thus Shiva and Shakti both became devoid of their haughtiness and got back their previous natures of the grace of the Supreme Deity, and were thus enabled to perform their functions as before. Then on a certain time, the Devi Bhagavati, the fiery nature of the Parashakti, took her birth in the house of Prajapati Daksha. Everywhere in the Triloka, great festivities were held. All the devas became glad and showered flowers. The drums of the devas were sounded by the hands and made very grave sounds. The pure-minded saints were gladdened. The sun's rays looked purer and cleaner. The rivers were elated with joy and began to flow in their proper channels. When the world auspicious Devi, the destroyer of the birth and death of the jivas, took her birth, everything looked propitious. The wise Munis named her Sati, as she was the nature of Parabrahma and truth herself. The Prajapati Daksha handed over the Devi, who was before the Shakti of Mahadeva, to the Deva of the Devas, Mahadeva. Due to the misfortune of Daksha, the daughter of Daksha burnt herself in a blazing fire. King Janamejaya said, "O Muni, you have made now me hear a very inauspicious word. How can such a great thing of the nature of the highest intelligence come to be burnt up in a fire? The mere recollecting of whose name dispels the terrible danger of the burning up of the fire of the samsara. How can she be burnt up by fire? I am extremely eager to hear. Kindly describe this to me in detail." Vedavyasa went on, "O king, hear. I am describing to you the ancient history of the burning of Sati. Once on a time, the famous Rishi Durvasa went to the banks of the river Jambu and remained there. There he remained with his senses controlled and began to repeat silently the root mantra of Maya. Then the goddess of the immortals, the Bhagavati, was pleased and gave the Muni a beautiful garland as her prasad that was on her neck, that emitted the sweet fragrance of jasmine. Whereon the bees were about to cluster, the Maharishi took it quickly and placed it on his head. He then hurriedly went to see the mother, to the place where Sati's father, the Prajapati Daksha, was staying, and bowed down to the feet of Sati. The Prajapati then asked him, "O Lord, whose extraordinary garland is this? How have you got this enchanting garland rare to the mortals on this earth?" The eloquent Maharishi Durvasa then spoke to him with tears of love flowing down his eyes. "O Daksha, I have got this beautiful garland that has no equal as prasad of the Devi." Then Daksha asked him to give him that garland. He too, thinking that there was nothing in the three worlds that cannot be given to the devotee of the Shakti, gave this garland to Daksha. He took that on his head, then placed it on the nice bed that was prepared in the bedroom of the couple. Being excited by the sweet fragrant smell of the garland in the night, Daksha engaged in a sexual intercourse. O king, due to that animal action, the bitter enmity arose in his mind towards Shiva and his Shakti. He then began to abuse Shiva. O king, for that offense, the Sati resolved to quit her body that was born of Daksha to preserve the honor of the Sanatana Dharma of devotion to her husband, and burnt her body by the fire arising out of yoga. King Janamejaya said, "O Muni, what did Mahadeva do, thus pained by the bereavement from his consort, dearer to him than his life, when Sati's body was thus consumed?" Vedavyasa said, "O king, I am unable to describe what happened afterwards. O king, out of the fire of the anger of Shiva, the pralaya seemed to threaten the three worlds. A great demon named Virabhadra, who exists with the host of Bhadrakalis, ready to destroy the three worlds, Rama and the other devas took refuge in Shiva. Though Mahadeva lost everything on Sati's departure, he, the ocean of mercy, destroyed the sacrifice of Daksha, cut off his head, and instead placed the head of a goat, brought him back to life, and thus made the gods free of all fears. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshvari Mat ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.